Hey, hey, hey! You know what day it is? What day is it? It's Tuesday Tea with D. 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 Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Hey, boo, hey, how you doing? It's your girl, your coach, your life purpose generator, and purpose provoker, Detra Trueheart. Your girl. Like, I'm back as if I wasn't here last week. Okay, I'm gonna stop messing with you. But yes, I'm back with another serving, another dose of Tuesday Tea with D. And I am doing not a detox, but drinking my lemon water again. So this is not tea in here. It's warm lemon water. And so I've been drinking it. It's really just trying to get back into the groove of drinking water. And I'm not even going to talk about the inches that I need to lose. But I also just need to get into the discipline of drinking water. If you've been with me for any time, you know, child, me and water, we got, as we call it, a situationship. So today is just strictly lemon water in here, and it's warm. You can't really see it, but it's in there. And so the goal is for me to really get to the point where I'm drinking what we're supposed to drink every single day of water, like whatever that amount is. But I also like drinking. I've tried to get into the habit, and I'm not as consistent as I want to be with drinking my warm lemon water every single morning when I get up before I eat anything, because it's good for just your digestive system and just kind of flowing through your body and getting your body ready for the day. So yeah, so that's that. Let me know what you're drinking. Today's conversation is a peculiar conversation. It's called You Can Pour from an Empty Cup. And so I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, because most of you are probably like, did I read that right? Is that not, there should be a typo. It should say you can't, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to just share what is sponsoring, or who is sponsoring this week's Tuesday Tea with D, and we're going to be doing this probably all month, is my Get Stuck and Get Started 90-minute strategy session. You can book your call at TrueheartSpeaks.as.me/get started. It is $500. It's a 90-minute strategy session. In addition to the strategy session, there is you get the recording. You also get, within 2 weeks, a 2-week follow-up call. It's a 30-minute call. And then I also give you some action steps and an action plan that you can implement over the next 30, 60, 90 days. And so this would be good for those of you who are struggling with creating, structuring, or enforcing boundaries. This is good if you seem to trying to figure out what to do with your time. Either there seems to not be enough time, or you got too much time and you don't necessarily know what to do with it. This is good for conversations around how to show up for yourself, how to put you first, how to create more time and space for yourself. This is also a good session for strategy in regards to just kind of taking action. Sometimes people book the 90-minute strategy sessions for kind of like a pick my brain. And so they've got something coming up, they want feedback. And so you got 90 minutes with me to be able to have conversation, to give me, for me to give you strategy, for me to give you insight and tools, and, you know, anything else that you need in regards to that. Right. And my clients walk away with clarity. They walk away with peace of mind. They walk away with, you know, the understanding. Sometimes they just walk away, you know, with a breath of fresh air, right? Feeling like, man, like, I'm glad, for one, that I'm not the only one, but for two, I'm glad that I invested in myself. And I'm glad that I got clarity around the fact that, like, I don't have to be all things to all people. Like, I also have people come to me in that area too, right? And so you're extremely busy. You're, you know, involved in all the things, ministry, community, life, family, all the things. And sometimes you forget to take and make time for you. And so we take some time to plot that out as well. And so there are a number of different things that people come to me with. But even if you have questions, shoot me an inbox and let me know. But I was saying all that to say, book your strategy session, book your 90-minute strategy session. I do 5 of those every single month. And so for this month, we are in a new month. Happy May to everyone. You want to go and you want to get on my calendar. Limited spots available. Be one of 5 so that you can get in, get your strategy. You can get unstuck. You can get started, all the things. All right. Let's jump into today's conversation around you can pour from an empty cup. Now, I will say that most of us, and you watching, will say like, well, no, because we've heard the saying that you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, I would beg to differ that even though we shouldn't pour from an empty cup, right? We do it all the time, right? We say you can't you can't give what you don't have. We say like you need to make sure that, you are reviving yourself, refreshing yourself, making sure that you are taking care of yourself, making sure that you're doing the inner work with yourself before you spend time on other people. And the reality is that is not always the way that it works. Ask me how I know. I was one of those people. Ask me how I know again. A lot of my clients are those people, right? And so you are showing up for everybody else, but you're not showing up for yourself. And part of showing up for yourself is filling your cup. But if you're not pausing to fill your cup, if you're not taking time to fill your cup, if you're not even taking time, as we talked about last week, co-creating your life with God, I think that was last week or the week before that, but co-creating your time with God, if you're not taking time to do that, I think it was 2 weeks ago, then sometimes like you're not even quiet enough to hear God tell you that there's certain things that you probably shouldn't be doing, right? Certain people you shouldn't be tending to. And so that's a different conversation. But, I brought this mug here and it actually has tea in it. And you can see like it's really not much in here. It's probably about this much tea in here. And so this is almost going to be empty. And the reality is when we look at it from a literal perspective, once this tea is gone, there isn't anything else that I can pour out of here, right? It might be a little drip drip, but like after that, there's nothing in there, right? In this cup. However, when we look at it from a figurative standpoint, I want you to think about the times that you have pushed yourself despite being exhausted, despite being extremely tired, despite not wanting to do it, despite it not necessarily even being your assignment or your thing, right? You pushed through. You did it anyway. You made sure like that you made it happen for the people. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. Sometimes when we're in dire straits or when there's an emergency or when something is happening, it may not necessarily even be an emergency, but sometimes something comes up and like, you like, man, like I'm tired, like I don't know, but I got to do it. Right. Sometimes that happens, but I'm not talking about sometimes or like every so often, like the exception to the rule. I'm talking about the fact that you pour from an empty cup as the rule. It's not an exception to the rule. You are consistently showing up for other people more than you show up for yourself. You're consistently doing more than what you need to be doing. You're not paying attention to how you're feeling. You're not paying attention to what's going on in your body, what's going on with your body. You're not paying attention to what your body is saying to you. You're not paying attention to what your mind is saying to you. And so because, your thoughts and your emotions, and the way that your body is feeling, like you're not tapped in, you're not self-aware enough to pay attention to the point and really say, you know what? I need a break. I need a break. And I will be honest that this is where my 90-minute strategy session comes in, because it's important for me to be able to ask the right questions around how often are you taking time for you? My question, is always, what are you doing for you this week? How are you showing up for yourself? What does that look like? And so if you don't know what that looks like, then we get a chance to take some time to explore what it can look like or what it looked like before all of this stuff came into play. But the reality is that we pour from an empty cup all the time. We overstep our boundaries all the time. We overcommit all the time. We overexert ourselves all the time. We put ourselves at the bottom of the totem pole all the time. And so what happens is that it's not until we're exhausted, it's not until we're on the verge of burnout, it's not until our bodies give out or we get sick that we realize, man, I'm really tired. It's not until you lay on the couch thinking you're getting ready to watch a movie and you wake up the next day because your body is like, child, we weren't watching no movie. We was tired. Okay. And so I know that we like to say you can't pour from an empty cup, but the reality is we do pour from an empty cup all the time. Women, men pour from an empty cup all the time. And so now the saying doesn't necessarily need to be you can't pour from an empty cup. It is you should not be pouring from an empty cup. You shouldn't be. Because if you're not taking time out for yourself, then you're pouring from an empty cup. If there's no time for self-care, if there's no time for thinking, if there's no time for reflection, if there's no time for just for you for do nothing time, if there's no time to actually refill the cup so that the cup overflows, right? I saw someone give an explanation for giving out of your overflow, and it basically meant anything that's in the cup is yours and anything that overflows out of the cup is everyone else's. But if you're constantly pouring out of what's inside, then literally it's taking you longer to fill the cup, but you're also giving away what's yours as opposed to the overflow, which is for those around you. The other part is that when you're giving out of what's your portion, right? When you are giving from an empty cup, right? When you're giving from what is yours, the reality is you are not able to show up at your best, at your highest capacity, at the fullest, at the fullest, way possible. I'm trying to think of a different word, but I'm going to say capacity, at your fullest capacity possible, right? And so at the best version, as the best version of you, right? And so, or the best expression, that's the word that I'm looking for. And so if you are not showing up as the best expression or the best version of you, it could be because you are not taking time to fill your cup. And I want you to really sit down and think about what that looks like. This is your journal prompt. What does it look like to fill your cup? What does it look like to slow down, to focus on you? And for many of my clients, it's difficult for them because they are the responsible one. They are the one who everyone calls. They are the one who everyone relies on. They are the one. And so at some point, when you're the one that everybody is calling, then it seems like there's nobody for you to call. When you're the one, taking care of everything, when you're the one making everything work, when you're the one saving everybody else, who's saving you? Right. And so while you're saving everybody else, you're drowning in your own stuff. And so I want you really to take some time to think about like what it looks like to fill your cup. What would it look like for you to operate at the best version of yourself? What would it look like, right? Last month for April, the Inner Circle, my membership and mentorship community, our monthly training was around identity. And so what would it look like for you to be able to operate at the identity or in the identity of how God created you before the foundation of the world, before life hit you, before sin came into the world, before all the things, right? Like the highest expression of who you are is how God created you. And so what if you operated in that? And so in that, there have to be boundaries. In that, there's going to have to be some quiet time. In that, there's going to have to be some separation and some isolation. There's going to have to be some growth and some personal development, some spiritual development, some professional development, like some time to be able to cultivate you, right? And so you got to start thinking about that. And if that's something that you have not yet taken the time to think about on a consistent basis and not just, again, when you're sick or laid out or exhausted, then you want to have a conversation with me and you really want to book a 90-minute strategy session because you can't keep going on like this. And the reason I know that is because I couldn't do it when I was, in a space where I was feeling like I couldn't do anything else. Like like literally it was like when you say like they're filled to capacity, you're at the maximum capacity. I was feeling like I was at maximum capacity. There wasn't anything else that I could do. And to be honest, what I was doing, I didn't want to do. And so I had to decide that I needed some time to fill my cup. And here's the thing that I want to tell you. If you have been operating from an empty cup for an extended period of time, filling your cup is not going to be an overnight thing. It's not going to be an overnight process. And so a lot of times we're like, oh, well, I took a nap. Well, that nap probably fills it up till about here. You probably are going to need another nap, right, to fill it up, or to take some time off to be with yourself, maybe to exercise, like whatever it is that fills your cup. Music, dancing, watching a good movie, like not thinking, sitting in silence, making sure that you have your quiet time with God, reading your Bible, your prayer time, right, meditating, so that you can really be in a mindset to be able to hear what God is saying to you. But ultimately, the point that I'm making here is we can and we do pour from an empty cup. We do it. And so if you're in a space where you feel like, man, I have been pouring from an empty cup, and I'm ready to make an investment because what I'm doing obviously is not working, and I really just need some support, then I want to invite you to book a 90-minute strategy session. And I'm going to keep saying it because the reality is sometimes we need someone else to support us, right? And so, yes, you might be able to be in a space where you can do this on your own, but most times people are not, right? Because they've been doing it for so long. When they start to do something different, it feels weird. And then they revert back to the same thing that they were doing, right? To get them back in the same cycle. And so, yeah, so I just want you to stop thinking that you can't pour from an empty cup and I'm not saying you, but you do it all the time. You say yes when you're supposed to be saying no. You say yes when you don't want to say yes, right? You commit to things that you shouldn't be committing to because it's not, first of all, you didn't talk to God about it. Second of all, you didn't check your schedule to see if you had anything else going on. And so now you've either double or triple booked. I remember those days, not looking at my schedule and saying yes to all these things because they were such great, oh, this is great, I want to support them. Child, stop doing that. You can't be all things to all people, right? You can't be all things to all people. And I think it's important to recognize that, there's a saying that says that, like, you can have it all. And I think that you can have it all, but you can't do it all. And so that's where that whole idea around making sure that you have support. And sometimes you might be in a situation where, like, it might be tight, you may not be able to, but what are the things that you can do now to be able to create time and space for yourself? That just might mean that you may need to wake up early. You may need to use your lunch break. You may need to, maybe take a couple of extra 10 or 15 minutes on your drive home or on your ride home, or maybe you stay up a little bit later. So, right, like that you can, right? You got to make the decision. Nobody can do that for you. But as your coach, I can support you, right? And so when we can talk through what it is that you should be doing, why you're not doing it, what are the mindset limitations and the mindset blocks, what is God saying about it? Like, there's certain things that we can talk about and questions that I normally ask, and people are like, I never thought about that. That will get you in the space of considering what it looks like for you to no longer pour from an empty cup, because we just have to stop doing it. And I think we have to be okay with not being everywhere all the time, and decide what it is that we're going to do. Decide what it is that we're going to do. Decide what it is that we're going to do, when we're going to do it, who we're doing it with. And then anything outside of that, I have to catch you next year. You just can't, you know what I mean? And unless you already have that, into your schedule around where you're resting and where you're filling your cup, and you're filling it to the full so that you're giving out of your overflow, you might need about a good week just to fill your cup so that it's full for you, and then start pouring so that you can have for others. So that's that. Hopefully this was good for you. Hopefully you'll take some nuggets. Again, your journal prompt is really to explore what it looks like to pour into your own cup, right? To fill your own cup. Like, what are the things that you can do to fill your cup, right? And then I think you also I want to give you another journal assignment around having a conversation with yourself around what are the things that you're currently doing that contribute to you pouring from an empty cup, right? What are the things that cause you to pour out right? And so look at all of the ways that you pour out, and look at all the ways that you pour that are being poured back into you. And so whether you're pouring into yourself or you're positioning yourself to be poured into, and that's where coaching comes in, mentoring comes in, spiritual counsel, therapy, all the things, right? You need to make sure that you're filling your cup, right? And then there are other things as well, but like, who's pouring into you as you're pouring into other people? And so if you need that support, again, I want to encourage you to book your Get Unstuck and Get Started 90-minute strategy session. Go to TrueheartSpeaks.me, nope, TrueheartSpeaks.as.me/get started, TrueheartSpeaks.as.me/get started, so that we can get you unstuck. We can get you started, if need be, on figuring out what it looks like to fill your cup and not continue to pour from an empty cup. But there could be a bunch of other things that, you know, that you may have challenges with, and you might be struggling with, in order for you to get to the other side of living with peace, and living, you know, in a space of gratitude, and living in a space of even being more confident, right, about, you know, how you take care of yourself, being even more assertive, right, around how you know, implement, and not only implement, but you execute your boundaries, you know? And so, you know, people walk away with the clarity knowing that, like, you know what, okay, I feel like I'm good now. And then obviously if they want to come back for, you know, a longer session for coaching, they can, but at least it helps you get started, right? The goal is to get you started, and then we can figure out where to go from there. But make sure you are subscribing. You have subscribed to the YouTube channel. Oh, can I just tell y'all that we are officially over the 500 mark of YouTube subscribers. Thanks to all my peeps who came in. I put an ask in on Facebook. And so I want to just send a special shout out to all my peeps who went and subscribed to my YouTube channel. I think we might be at about 11, 12-ish, maybe even 515. I don't know, but we're over 500. And so I'm super excited about that. So make sure if you're watching this or any of my YouTube videos, make sure you are subscribed so that you can get notified whenever I go live and whenever new videos come out every Tuesday for Tuesday Tea with D. Make sure you're liking, make sure you comment, leave me a comment in the bottom. Like, let me know what you're taking away from this, right? Don't just watch and not tell me that you're watching. I want to know. And then I want you to share it. Like, who do you think needs this message? I want you to think of one person who needs this message, and I want you to share it with them, right? Text them the link and say, hey, watch this. This is so good, right? And so again, you know, I'm grateful that you join me every Tuesday for Tuesday Tea with D. I'm grateful that you allow me to spend a little bit of time with you to help you get out of your own way so that you can stop settling and show up for yourself in the same way that you show up for others. And most importantly, I'm grateful that God allows me to do what I do so that we can be light and salt out here, right? So you have an amazing day. You have an amazing week, and I will see you next time on Tuesday Tea with D. 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 See you later.